What's up, guys? RyHo here, and today I want to talk to you guys about the 1984 horror sci-fi flick, The Stuff. It was directed by Larry Cohen, who I believe he directed It's Alive and like all the sequels. He was also like a writer in Hollywood. He's been involved with lots of movies. Maniac Cop being a series. I think he wrote the first Maniac Cop or something like that. And he's a master of horror. He did one of the Masters of Horrors. I think it was Pick Me Up. Anyway, this was a 1985 flick that he put out. Basically the story is that these miners find this mysterious ooze on the ground, which for some reason they decide to taste. Literally, that happens. And it's delicious, so it gets mass marketed, sold to the public, and little do we know that the stuff is sort of taking people over, and they're kind of like turning into zombies, and they're obsessed with it, and all they want to do is eat the stuff because it's this delicious, better than ice cream, low calorie, food. And it's sort of like there's an analog thing going on here for I think food in general in the U.S. At the time in the 80s we had McDonald's and you had Coca-Cola and you had all these companies that were selling, not the healthiest stuff for you, and they were mass marketed. People just couldn't get enough of the stuff, and it's the same today as it was then. It's funny because they have actual scenes in the movie which are like commercials for the stuff, and it's just like watching a McDonald's or a Coke commercial from the 80s. And at the same time, the movie's definitely endorsed by McDonald's, Coca-Cola, KFC. All of them are in this movie. It's really kind of funny that the way that worked out, because that's definitely what the story was going for with this. Anyway, that's basically the storyline of the movie. I don't want to ruin it for anybody that wants to see it. It stars Michael Moriarty. He plays this character, Mo Rutherford, who's like an FBI agent, a former FBI agent that's become a corporate saboteur or spy or something like that. Essentially, the ice cream companies want to find out what's in the stuff, and they can't seem to get any information on it, so they hire him to get into the company and figure out what is the stuff. Other than that, you have this young boy, I think his name is Jason in the movie. He's played by Scott Bloom, who's been in some different stuff. You might know who he is. And he actually, his brother in the movie is Brian Bloom, who's actually his brother in real life. He's done a lot of voice work, I think. He's been in a lot of different cartoons and video games and stuff like that. Basically, Jason knows something's up with the stuff, and his family's addicted to it, and everyone's addicted to it, so he's kind of rebelling against it, and eventually him and Mo hook up, and they end up fighting against the stuff together, as well with a woman by the name of Nicole. I can't remember the name of the actress that plays her right now, but she's sort of an ad exec for the stuff, and when Mo explains what's going on, she ends up joining their team. What else can I say about this movie? I'd heard about it lots of times from different people. I can't think of who at the moment. I went looking for reviews and I couldn't find any that jumped out at me, but I always heard such good things about it. It was like an 80s cheese fest, this really cool movie. You gotta see the stuff, and I hated this movie. I absolutely hated it. I barely made it through it. It's not often that I turn off a movie, but I thought about it lots of times with this movie. I just felt like it was basically an incoherent mess. Scenes that made no sense, completely at random, stitched together sometimes, that just didn't drive the story forward at all. I mean, some of it was funny because it was so bad. I think if I had watched this with friends, we would have got a real kick out of it, how shitty it was. But sitting there and watching it by myself, I barely made it through it. Some examples. There's a scene, Danny Aiello is in this movie kind of randomly, and he's this former FDA guy, and Mo goes to see him to find out how the stuff passed the FDA regulations, and you can tell right away he's kind of nervous about what's going on. But he has this huge dog that's there the whole time, and you find out he's scared of the dog, and eventually I think you kind of alludes to the idea that he's eating the stuff nonstop himself, he's addicted, and he's feeding it to the dog. And there's this scene later where the dog kills him, and it's just like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just when you're watching it, it's like, it's confusing, it's painful to watch. Like, Most of the conversations that happen in this movie I find are very painful to watch. They're too colloquial, they're too conversational. People are talking over each other. It's hard to understand people. There's another scene where Mo is talking to the guy that's like, I think he's supposed to be like the president of the company that owns the stuff. And I swear to God, I couldn't make out a word the guy was saying. I had to rewind it a couple of times to try and figure out what he was saying. It sounded like he was drunk or something. I don't know how else to put it. Paul Sorvino ends up in the movie near the end. He's this, I don't know if he's a general of his own little crazy regime in the U.S. kind of a thing, kind of like a nutbag that has money or something like that, and he's made his own army. I won't go into all that, but he's like this racist, misogynistic, crazy asshole that has an army, and most of the stuff that happens around him is just, it's more hilarious than anything else. I don't know. I mean, I guess like it's just one of those things you have to see to believe. I don't know how else to explain it. A lot of the scenes were just painful and hard to watch, and I could barely understand what was going on. Special effects. There was a couple of neat scenes. They do the whole rolling room scene like Wes Craven did in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven did it really great. Larry Cohen, not so much. There's a couple of decent like effect scenes where people are exploding from the stuff and things like that. Other than that, though, like I mean, there's really not much gore. That's for sure. I feel like today the movie would get like a PG rating. Honestly, I don't know what it was rated at in '85, but I mean, sure, people are dying, but it's almost comical and it just doesn't look gory or nasty most of the time. But there are a couple scenes that are pretty decent, and I don't want to ruin anything with that either, so I won't explain them. But the score was actually pretty decent. I mean, it felt like a cheesy 1980s kind of horror comedy, just a cheesy kind of horror flick from the 80s. It was decent. It's mostly synth based, but it was actually pretty good for what it was. At least it wasn't total crap. I actually kind of liked the score. I guess that was one thing that kind of stuck out with me. But overall, I just can't recommend this movie. Personally, I couldn't stand it, but, it's one of those movies that I guess, maybe it's up to each other's taste. Let me know what you think about it. If you like it, please tell me why in a comment or a video response. Tell me what you think about the stuff, because I'm telling you, I don't know. Personally, it just did not hit with me. It did not land at all. You can get the movie, I think, on eBay or Amazon, at auction for maybe $7, something like that. It's really not that expensive. I doubt it's on Blu-ray. I know it's on DVD. I personally watched it on Netflix instant stream, so you can probably find it there pretty easily if you really want to check it out and see what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's really all I got to say about this stuff. Just didn't do it for me, guys. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, comment. Let me know what you think about the movie. Let me know your thoughts on it. And yeah, peace.